Hey everybody, welcome to Story Time. This is a new video series that we're going to do in this kind of weird time with the coronavirus taking over things, closing down the parks, closing down the cons, and we thought this would be a good time to do something totally different and revisit some stories. Maybe we've talked about them on the podcast, maybe we haven't, but maybe go in a little bit more detail. Just kind of finding something different, something productive, something creative to fill the time. And as we've been trying to do with the podcast and everything else during these weeks of self-quarantine and self-distancing and all of these things, social distancing, I should say, and all of these things, is just trying to find content to put out that maybe somebody out there will like, maybe somebody out there will have some thoughts on and be able to kind of engage and forget about all the craziness just for a couple minutes. So these will be pretty short videos in general, but we'll take something from the Parks and Cons world, some experience we had, some autographs, some cool collectible, exclusive, whatever it might be, and give a little bit of the story behind it and share it. So this time, to start things out, this would be a good one. It kind of goes back in time some, but it was the Jon Favreau Iron Man 2 signing at the Marvel booth, San Diego Comic-Con 2009. And so the story behind this is kind of interesting in that this was the one San Diego Comic-Con that I attended, and I was in a wheelchair. I had a variety of surgeries on my feet, and so I spent about a year kind of in wheelchairs, on crutches, bedridden, things like that, and kind of fighting through those surgeries to get back on my feet. That said, in the midst of all of it was San Diego Comic-Con. So we head out to Comic-Con. Excited as always. I mean, for us, we started going to Comic-Con in 2005, so it's not as long as some, but longer than others. And so this was, 2009, been there a few years, highlight of the year. Get there in the wheelchair. Carmel's pushing me. We have our disability access and all of that. And really, truly, on preview night, I was just like ready to tap out. The crowds just overwhelmed me. The inability to move myself. She was pushing me around the floor, and it was not, just wasn't ideal all the way around, and it was a real challenge for sure. And so I felt kind of like tapping out, and Carmel was like, just, hang off to the side, and she literally like rolled me against a wall, and I kind of just stayed there. And she went and got a bunch of swag that night, then we went back to the room and just kind of like lifted my spirits. It's like, okay, let's try this. So we went back Thursday, Friday, having a good time. I got a lot more autonomous with it, kind of pushing myself around as well. And then came Saturday, and Saturday we, rope dropped, to use a theme park line there. Made our way to the Marvel booth because they were going to be doing these signings, and they had these like golden tickets for Jon Favreau. Now Favreau, the director of Iron Man 2, Happy Hogan in the film. I'm a big fan of him. Loved him. I mean, Swingers is like one of my all-time favorite movies. His work Maid and Chef, and just, I mean, so much stuff he's been involved in. I've just loved, whether he's actor, in front of the camera, behind the camera, whatever. And this seemed like an awesome opportunity, but not something I was too optimistic about. But we made our way to the booth, drew our numbers or whatever it was, and then Carmel and I kind of were making our way around the floor. They were going to have the drawing a little bit later to let people know who won. And so I kind of was navigating one way, rolling myself in my wheelchair. She went back to the Marvel booth to see if we might win. I was very pessimistic. It's one of these things where it's like, there's no way we're going to randomly get drawn for this thing. And so in the time that we had separated and she was checking this out, it's 2009, so we're not like even into that mode of like, keeping up to the minute with texting and all of that type of stuff. But I had made my way upstairs out of the exhibit hall and was on my way to a panel. And my arms were just like dead fatigued. And Carmel calls me on her cell phone, and it's like, hey, I won. You got to come down here. We're going to do this signing at 11 a.m. And I literally was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I was so dead tired by that point. I was like shipwrecked is the term I use. I just was like sitting in the middle of the floor there in my wheelchair and just like felt like I couldn't move anywhere. But she came up the elevator. I, rolled my way back towards the elevator. She got me, helped push me down there, and we got our little ticket there, our golden ticket for Iron Man 2. The signing was at 11 a.m. on Saturday, July 25th, 2009 at the Marvel booth. And so as we made our way over there, they kind of took us off to the side. There was another individual with their disabled pass thing that CCI gives you. And ultimately, Jon Favreau comes out, and it was like the best possible experience, because he comes out, he actually walks away from the stage, because since I was in the wheelchair, they couldn't really navigate me up the stage the way they had it set up. It required getting up steps and things like that, and I didn't have my crutches with me at that time. So he actually comes to the end of the stage, and he like talks for a few minutes and just, oh, are you having a good time? Are you enjoying the convention? Do you like the, Iron Man, obviously, things like that. And it was just like, we had a couple minutes of FaceTime there, which was actually super cool. And we ended up getting a photo. This was, again, a long time ago. Whoops. But we were able to meet him. He comes to the end of the stage there, and was just as nice as could possibly be. There was a guy there off to the side that was like a professional photographer that took the photo for us and then gave us the photo. I mean, it was just like this magical couple minutes there, and then we walked away with our poster signed. And so it was a super awesome, cool, and it's one of those types of experiences. There was a lot of those, early moments in, a Comic-Con history there, where it's just like, this is why I love San Diego Comic-Con, because there's things that happen there that just don't happen anywhere else. They're just really unique moments. If you've been to Comic-Con, you know what I mean, is you're someplace and you randomly walk into somebody, or you win an opportunity like this, or whatever it might be. And so it was a really cool experience. It was one that always sticks with me. It's one that I will always remember as being kind of a highlight of the time there. Actually, Criminal just brought me, this was the badge at the time. So that was back in the day what they gave you. That's our 2009 pass. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. I don't know that I'd say it's what made me fall in love with Comic-Con, because I had already fallen in love. I mean, the first time I walked on the Comic-Con floor, and we'll save that story for another time, though, I fell in love with the place, and it is like the highlight of the year for me. So anyway, in these uncertain times where there's so much negativity on media, where there's so much uncertainty of whether an event like Comic-Con will happen, or now WonderCon's postponed, all of these things, I thought this is a good time to bring some optimism, do a little bit of story time, and share some fun, awesome stories that, or at least awesome to me. Hopefully some people out there will find some of that positivity. So with that being said, we'll wrap up here. Watch out for more of these videos, story times, where we will share some of the stories from the floor, from the parks, and from everything else that we've done in these years of Comic-Con before we get back up fully running, going crazy again at all the cons, at all the parks, all that stuff. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in line somewhere.